Hello, my friends. Chapter 10, worksheet help. So, chapter 10 looks like this. Okay, it's multiple choice and then an answer at the bottom. So we're going to do that together. All right, number 1, what was Mrs. Whitman's daughter's name? Remember, she had a daughter what happened to her? She drowned in the river by their home. Was her name Emily Louise, Alice Clarissa, Mary Beth, or Anne Marie? Do you remember? Her name was Alice Clarissa. Alice Clarissa, so B is the correct answer for number 1. Number 2, what did Mrs. Whitman have that Mrs. Sager had wanted? Was it a cook stove, a wash tub, china, or a 4-post bed? Do you remember what Mrs. Sager wanted? She wanted a cook stove. So the answer to that one is A, cook stove. All right, number 3, what was the teacher's name the Whitmans brought into the mission? Remember, there was a man that they hired to teach school. Was his, oh, I kind of gave it away. It can't be A because that's Miss Spalding. It wasn't a girl. Mr. Walker, Mr. Gray, or Mr. Hinman? Do you remember? It was Mr. Hinman. We're going to learn more about Mr. Hinman as the story goes on. So D, Mr. Hinman. All right, number 4, Wallapaloo means place of ryegrass, many waters, windy plains, or plentiful hunting. It means place of ryegrass. It's that brown grass that kind of waves. What word means, so that's A. Number 4 is A. Number 5, what word means valley of spring? Was it Cayush, Taxcuman, Kamakin, or Telekaiti? I'm not good at Indian names, guys. I say them really bad. So just look at the spellings. The answer is B. Okay. Tishkuman means valley of spring. All right. At the bottom it says, list 2 adjectives that describe Dr. Whitman and 2 that describe Mrs. Whitman. So remember, an adjective is a describing word. Words that describe something, like a red house, a funny comedian. Funny describes the comedian. Red describes the house. So what words would we use to describe Dr. Whitman? What words would we use to describe Dr. Whitman? He seems like he's a nice guy, doesn't he? He's kind of gentle. He's also really smart. He's religious. Okay. What about Mrs. Whitman? What do you think about Mrs. Whitman? She's kind. She takes everyone in. She feeds them. She's pleasant. Both girls have talked about how pretty she is, especially when she smiles. But she's also a little stern, isn't she? She's kind of stern and wants them to follow the rules. So this is what I did. I made a little T-chart and I put Dr. Whitman on one side and Mrs. Whitman on the other. And then I just listed some of their adjectives. So I said Dr. Whitman was educated, he was smart, he was nice, and he had a gentle spirit. Those are adjectives describing describing Dr. Whitman. Okay? All right. For Mrs. Whitman, I put that she is kind, she's pleasant, she's pretty, but she's also stern. And these are adjectives that describe Mrs. Whitman. So, pause it if you need to. Copy down these adjectives. And that is Chapter 10, workbook page. Bye, my friends.